What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to take 2 of our live stream here of another Pay-Per-Viewpoint episode of the Smark Smack Talk podcast, where we're going to be breaking down Extreme Rules 2021. Our first live stream wouldn't let us do it. For some reason, we got 30 seconds in, we started to switch this over, and it said it disconnected twice, and then it ended the stream, and we had to start a whole new one. So if you're kind of confused about what was going on there, we're on a new link here. Hopefully you are funneling in. I can see that we've got one or two people. We got like 5 people right now going on, so I think we're kind of getting things up a little bit. I don't even know if the connection's okay. Well, you know, we'll figure it out as we're going along. But I'm your host as always, Tony Mango. Joining me as always is Robert DeFelice.
Yeah, we're here. That was more eventful than the pay-per-view itself, I gotta be honest.
That was Extreme Pay-Per-Viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here.
That was about as extreme as this whole show has been.
So, for anybody who's checking out the stream, are you seeing decent enough quality? Because it's showing up on my screen as like extremely pixelated. It says that the bit rate's really low, but there's nothing that's changed on my settings or anything. So I don't know if this is a Google issue. If it is a Google issue, then we can't get around it. But hey, that would be the same as what happens with Blocker and stuff, right? Okay, people are saying that it looks fine. So, all right, good. Maybe it's just something on the way that OBS is kind of processing this. Or actually, maybe it's on YouTube itself. Anyway, point being, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well. We're going to be running down everything that happened on here, all the extremeness, the 5 things that happened that were extreme, like, the one chair shot and the one table spot and that kind of deal. And, telling you guys who won all the matches, telling you the good, the bad, everything in between, talking about some positives, despite the fact that some people still think that there are never any positives that are ever mentioned out there. And we're going to complain about some stuff too. I am not going into this pay-per-view point with that type of crown jewel sucked vibe of like incoming massive rant type of thing.
Some people really took that away from this though. And I'm kind of like, we got that out of the way in the preview, I think. When we understood, okay, there's no Extreme Rules matches, there's still no Extreme Rules matches, we're just getting a normal pay-per-view. I understood what this was going to be.
Yeah, I didn't go into this expecting it to be anything other than they happen to kind of classify it a pay-per-view, despite the fact that it's not. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go down the same rabbit hole the way that we've done before in the past. But look, the fact of the matter is WWE is in a time frame where they... First off, the effort isn't there. They are taking the fans for granted. All these other kind of things that we've gotten into. But also when it comes to pay-per-views, they're not special anymore. They just aren't. They want you to think that every episode of the TV show matters and every episode of the pay-per-view stuff matters and that it's all, every episode and every match is the best thing ever. It's the same as, when people are lying about how, I don't know, good of a friend they are, and you know how much I do for you, and it's like they really don't, but it's just a manipulation tactic. That's what it is. It's the first time ever. Isn't that interesting? Well, not really, but since you said it's first time ever, I'm supposed to care more. And we've talked about how the TV shows lead into the pay-per-views, which lead into the TV shows, which lead into the pay-per-views, and they spread everything thin. So if this were an episode of the TV show, like this were an episode of Raw, it'd be a pretty good episode of Raw.
Well, first of all, Tony, do you know how good of a friend I am to you?
Yeah.
Secondly, it was interesting. Like there's some parts of the show, specifically on the Raw side of things, that I'm really intrigued by because they went into this is mostly a SmackDown pay-per-view. There were like 2 Raw matches on the show, and one of them wasn't even advertised beforehand. Like, they are clearly throwing stuff at the wall right now and trying to see what sticks as they scramble, because I think people are starting to ask questions about whether or not WWE still owns everything. Obviously, look, nobody's saying that AEW is going to overtake WWE. WWE is in a different level to where, like, they just can't. But AEW is a viable and cool global professional wrestling product. And that's something WWE has not had to compete with in years. And I think they're throwing things at the wall. Roman Reigns wrestled 4 times this week. 4 times. Because they got to draw numbers.
And the ratings haven't really been all that much of a jump up. I mean, like, when they do big things, the ratings do go up. But it's not like they're getting the ratings that they used to get in, like, 2002 or something like that. So, I mean, we'll break down individual things here and there, but one of the general things to talk about, which Peyton had brought up in our chat, and if you're still in the live chat here, remind me if this is a direct quote that I'm getting correct, what you had mentioned, but somebody had said that he had come across where AEW is kind of throwing everything at the fans to please them, even if it's kind of rushing things and sort of just here's another thing and here's another thing and kind of skipping straight to like a 10 out of 10. Whereas WWE is like actively not pleasing their fans, And there are some instances here where some people were super happy. There are matches on this card where people were chanting, "This is awesome." But I put something in, I think it was the E-Wrestling News post that I had put out there. It might have been the Smark Out Moment one. I'm not too sure. It might have been the Bleacher Report one. I write too many things at the same time. But I started thinking about something here when we get into the 6-man tag team match that got added to the card. And I'm going to hold off on this thought until we start talking about that, but I'm going to bounce back to this topic. So, if you're going, hey, why are you going backward? Well, we're going to go forward and then we're going backward. It's kind of, we're going to bounce around here. But as always, drop your comments below. Tell us your thoughts on everything that's happening, your thoughts on the positives, the negatives, whatever it might be. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Check out the TeePublic and Redbubble shops. Hit up the Patreon and click the join button and the thanks button if you want to help out on the monetary side of things. And also just, keep everything going here in the live chat too. And speaking of that, Marquise with a super chat right on time for that. It was like perfect timing. I was going to mention that. Thank you, Marquise. My reaction to the main event. Okay. We're going to,
yeah,
I will be a little bit more positive when it comes to that one, I think. But we have to start this off with just how did we get into this? And we had talked about this in the predictions where we had said, clearly, they're going to add some matches. Clearly, they're going to add some stipulations. And then we got to last night when we were doing the hot tags and we go, oh my God, they didn't add any matches. They didn't add any stipulations. What the hell's going on here? By the time we get to the kickoff, they run through the card almost, I think it's like 2 minutes into the kickoff. Like, oh, and by the way, this is the card of the night. And it's exactly the same again. And I'm like, oh God, they're not going to add a damn thing. They're just going to take Liv Morgan versus Carmella and put it on the pre-show. And that's it. Wow. When that happened, what were your thoughts they were going through, Ryan?
So I had seen from Fightful Select first that Liv and Carmella were going to be added to the kickoff. And then I just thought, well, they're going to add a Biggie match. I knew like they're going to add something with Biggie because the WWE champion not being on pay-per-view hasn't happened unless it's Brock Lesnar. Like the WWE championship is always on the show or the champion is always wrestling something. And when they didn't add anything at first, I was a little weirded out, but ultimately I felt confident that something would happen.
Eventually, something did happen in the kickoff. They just decided to cut to some backstage interview segment where the New Day ended up brawling with Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos. They literally said in that segment, "You're not even on the card." And then, lo and behold, we get a match announced for how things are going to start off with the 6-man tag team thing. But
well, even that, that was a little weird to me because if you're going to interview anybody, interview the incumbent WWE champion and then just let him get jumped instead of, hey, it's AJ Styles and Omos who are not on the show tonight. What are you doing here, folks?
Yeah. But then again, they don't care. That's where it is. It's just they do not care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell when somebody cares if they put in the effort for something. They might fail, but if you see the effort, then it's worth, a little pat on the back or whatever. But when somebody fails in something because they put no effort into it, it's hard to really, be super apologetic or be willing to give them the benefit of the doubt or anything. And that's why I had said to somebody that was complaining earlier about, I never say anything positive. And I'm like, well, first off, I do. It's just that I'm not going to take something that's a 6 out of 10 and act like it's a 10 out of 10 just because I want it to be better and I want to convince myself I like it better. I talked about this before. I watched Terminator 3 times in the movie theater. I bought the DVD. I've watched it about, maybe 7 or something times since then. I really tried to convince myself I liked Terminator 3. Didn't work. It's not a fucking good movie. And when something's not great, it's not great. And it's all subjective and everything too. So I'm sure some people are going to disagree, but hey, opinions are opinions, Keep your positives and your negatives, keep them rolling, keep them in the comments, that kind of deal. Shout out to the people in the chat, by the way. I didn't run down the list of everybody. I like to do that usually, but we got Peter, we got Chris Marin, we got William, we got Adam, we got Bodine, we got Payton. So we got Marquise, we got Huerta. Just tuning in. How far in is the review? Well, we just ran down the Becky Lynch match and we're heading into the main event.
Yeah, we're done.
So Finn Balor and Roman Reigns. Now we're just pretty much starting. So we are going to get started here with the kickoff match, Liv Morgan versus Carmella. The match where, heading into it, we had one goal. Actually, we had 2 goals in mind. Carmella isn't going to be able to run, and she's going to end up with her face looking as ugly on the outside as she is on the inside. And
Carmella must be a really great person.
She must be, because she looks pretty damn good at the end of this, right?
Yeah.
Because this was a generic match. There was absolutely nothing going on for it that was anything different than what you would have seen on SmackDown.
Yeah, but I'm glad this is on pay-per-view. I'm glad Liv Morgan got a win. I like the move she's doing right now where she uses her feet to catapult the person face first. She did that off the announce table. That was cool. If they weren't already doing 3 face mask gimmicks, I'd say to do that. Like, put Carmella in a face mask, but,
Well, the bigger story for this whole thing wasn't so much anything at all that happened during the match, which, of course, takes away from the Liv Morgan thing. But also, outside of the not having a gimmick and everything like that, the biggest distraction out of all this was this started something that went through for this and the next match to a certain extent. They could not figure out the audio feed. We had the English and Spanish commentary teams at the same time. We eventually had like a third, maybe even a fourth. We got the French team popping in. Guys, Peacock and WWE have had this connection since Fastlane, was it?
Yeah, Fastlane started it, and then Mania started like the official, okay, everything's on Peacock.
And they gave themselves this idea of, well, give us until like 5-6 months from now, and we'll have it all sorted out by SummerSlam. This is a pay-per-view after SummerSlam. There's no excuses at this point. There shouldn't have been before. That's the thing. You don't go into these kind of things and have issues that you start off and it's like, all right, well, you're not going to have the ability to pause and rewind and whatever, and you're not going to have the catalog and you're not going to have whatever, and you're just going to have to wait. You don't start off with that. You get that sorted out before you launch it. Right?
Well,
like any reasonable thing. And it is reasonable to assume that there's going to be some glitches, but glitches should be rare. Not every pay-per-view there's something like this.
Yeah, and to be fair, like back in 2014, when the network was the first OTT platform of its kind, and they tout that a lot, but in truth it was fair to accept some glitches because it was like, all right, you give me everything ever for $10. We live in an age where everything is a subscription service. Groceries, for God's sake, are a subscription service. And like the fact that NBC Universal and WWE, those two conglomerates, can't get together and make something that's, cohesive and works is very concerning.
It is, because it's like, even if you stick with their arbitrary, give us a bunch of months and we'll have it all figured out by SummerSlam. They've gotten most of it figured out, but they still can't figure out everything like this. And, 2 seconds worth of an audio glitch. Okay, fine. I'll argue that later on when they had the Balor stuff, I don't think that they were supposed to play the whole theme. That's probably just WWE in the background hitting the button and not knowing what to do or whatever like that. But this went on for 15 minutes or something, it seemed?
Yeah, this went on for a while, and so much so that Pat McAfee actually addressed it when he said hello on the actual main card.
What did he say? I didn't catch him.
Well, Cole was, greeting the audience, and McAfee just started speaking in Spanish, just over him.
It's fucking great. Oh, man. He's so good with that stuff.
Yeah, they actively addressed it, so there you go. That's all you really need to know.
It's like, that became so hard to check into. I started looking around because I was just like, I don't know if I'm the only one that has this issue. I thought originally that I might have clicked on the Spanish feed because, they give you the option of having
right
both
next to each other, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, shit, I hit the Spanish one. Let me refresh the page and, whatever. And, I go straight to Twitter after that when I realized that I didn't, just to see if it's the same thing because, how everything's been with NXT UK. We are 50 episodes or something into the show, it seems, and they still don't show up until 10 or 15 minutes late. But I was like, yeah, maybe there's a chance it's just me. And I see lots and lots of people saying this is triggering my audio sensory issues. This is impossible for me to listen to this. I'm going to mute it, all that other kind of stuff. So yeah, it was bothersome enough that it took away from the entire match. Not that the match was anything that was really worthwhile anyway. If you missed it, you didn't miss a damn thing. Liv Morgan literally won a match. They didn't do anything with Carmella running away with her nose broken. They didn't do any kind of gimmicks. They didn't do anything.
No Zelina Vega, no anything. It just was a match, which isn't a bad thing. It's letting you know how the rest of the night's going to go. A lot of this was just a match.
Yeah, we're going to do a lot of Drew things of it was a match, that kind of deal. People echoing in the chat here about the same thing. Adam saying, audio was so bad in the beginning. Peacock is the worst streaming service I use, and I use a bunch. Peter said, I'm autistic, headaches, sensory issues. Marquis says, the stream itself, still a major issue. Yeah, so it's like, if it affects everybody in the entire, collective of using this thing, you get it sorted out like that. You jump straight into it. You don't just go I'll figure it out in 20 minutes or so. And I had thought, at the very least, well, they're having this glitch because it's a kickoff, and not to excuse it, because this is not an excuse, but it's the kickoff, and who fucking cares?
And that's probably what they thought.
Nobody should say that. Despite the fact that I'm putting it out there in the universe, nobody should excuse any company or any person for you did something wrong, but I don't really care because who cares in any scenario like this. It shouldn't be the type of thing where it's like, well, the free bread that we got at the restaurant was moldy, but it's the free bread. It's not the meal I'm paying for. No, that's, fucking wrong. Just because it's a kickoff doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about it. It is still part of the show. They just classify it that because that's the free feed. The same as they did for the free-for-all in the past, 1996 or whatever it was. I think it was 96, right? It was 96 when they did that. Yeah. I'm distinctly remembering Duke Dumpster Drosy and Hunter Hearst Helmsley against for the 1996 Royal Rumble that I couldn't watch for a while there.
That is the first free-for-all. Good job.
There you go. So that sticks with you, and that'll stick with me more than Liv Morgan versus Carmella did. And I like Liv Morgan and Carmella, so it's not a shot at them.
But for whomever's out there where that's gonna stick with you, for the rest of your life, that's cool. That's what it's for. I fully acknowledge this isn't for us. This match was for the Liv Morgan stands and the Carmella stands, and they got what they came for, and that's great. But it was also just bland, and they should have done more with Liv Morgan by now. And Carmella, God bless her because she's always there, is just the reliable hand of the women's division now.
So
You know?
I figured by then, all right, kickoff is over. They've sorted out the audio issues, and they didn't. So for a good chunk of the 6-man tag team match, we're having the same kind of problem. But this match itself, one of my favorite matches of the night.
The 6-man tag?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that's a weird thing to say about Liv Morgan Carmella, but yeah, 6-man tag. It was great. What can you say? It's 5 wrestlers who really know what they're doing, and Omos who is big and knows how to be big, and it's
you know who else knows how to be big?
Baba Tunde.
Bingo.
Now some other people though, they just don't.
No,
That's
like
okay.
Karina.
Like, I enjoy seeing the New Day together. You can tell that they have just loved putting the New Day together, because when is the last time the WWE champion was in action on a pay-per-view in just a tag match?
But that's not a good thing, you know? And
but like, you can tell, like, to them right now, they're just like, yeah, but the New Day's back, and isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's their whole mindset.
Going back to the thing I said that we're going to come back to this when we talk about the 6-man tag. See, I didn't forget about it. I wrote down this theory. Now, I don't know if there's so much credibility to it. Of course, I don't know Vince McMahon personally or anything like that, but we've been talking about a lot of theories lately of everything from, are they selling the company and that's why they're doing all these budget cuts, to they changed their philosophy to be more like, well, NXT 2.0 is setting up the stage for, they really want it to be the 80s again, all these other kind of things like that. And we've got names that kind of trigger back to like the previous, like the original incarnation of NXT, like the Lucky Cannon type names with, Braun Breaker and whatnot. I thought about this. I want to get your opinions about this. Does Vince so desperately want to make things the way that it used to be in like the 80s and the 90s, like the early 90s, not like Attitude Era, that he's actively trying to just cold turkey downgrade things, where it's like, it's easier to just go, no, we're doing it the way that we used to do, and if you can't adjust, then we'll lose you, but at least the shock will end up being like that instead of doing a slow transition? Because in the past, you look at something like SummerSlam 88. It was the first one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the main event?
It's
a tag team match.
Yeah.
And we've got a 6-man tag team match on here on a thing that's supposed to be Extreme Rules, where are we literally supposed to go back to the time frame where we were supposed to think a 6-man tag team match is like super special and awesome? I kind of feel like that might be part of the philosophy, is like, I miss those good old days and it was easier and it was simpler. And if we just go back to that and we do the total opposite of what an AEW show is kind of being like, then we'll kind of find ourselves again. Do you know what I mean?
So I like that theory, and I'll expand on it a little bit. I don't know if it's just like, fuck it, we're going to go backwards. Or it could be, hey, let's retrain the audience what special is. So if we just clean sweep everything, kind of like when they transitioned over to the Nexus era, if we clean sweep everything and there's no blood and there's no this, when you see a pile driver, you'll lose your damn mind. And it could be that they're just like, screw it, let's reset in that way, because they're like, it makes it easier to book, it makes things easier, easier pops, easier booking, all that kind of stuff. It could be.
More and more I'm feeling like that might be the case, because we're just seeing way too many things that are old school, and not in the way of like, because not everything old school is better. People do this all the time with movies and TV shows and actors and, everything. People are always talking about, well, it's not the way that it used to be in the good old days and whatever. Some things are better in the past. Some things are really awful. To
be fair, like we've done that in the past.
And so it kind of, it's a case by case basis type thing. Like, for my tastes, we've been talking a lot about like the old Nickelodeon shows. Like, I wouldn't care whatsoever if like Nickelodeon were to disappear right now with the shows that are there, because I'm in my 30s. I don't watch Nickelodeon anymore. But I'm sure for a kid watching stuff now, if they watch some of the old school stuff, they'd probably be like, this is pretty boring and stupid. I don't really like it. And, that kind of just, it is the way that it is. But if I watch like an old timey kind of movie, and you've got the people that don't know how to act, and they're doing things, well, let me tell you something here, Buster, like that kind of thing. Like, it's really bad because
that's always your go-to, and that always pops me.
Because that's how they talk. If I ever hear some kind of thing, like, my grandmom's watching some old TV show or something, it's terrible. Like Green Acres, not a fucking good show compared to that. But I'll admit, stuff from when I was a kid, a lot of that pretty much sucked too. It's just, it is what it is. And there are things about old school, golden era kind of wrestling type stuff that is better. There's a lot that's worse. Like, I will take watching some old pay-per-view, like when we've done like those in your house watch-alongs. I've had more fun watching some of those than watching some episodes of like SmackDown and such. But, if I were to watch some kind of Harley Race versus Bob Backlund match, for my tastes, I'm probably going to be bored, all things considered.
Yeah, and I do understand that. I think that there's some people who would say the 6-man was fun because they just like seeing the New Day and they know the New Day is over. But ultimately, what would have helped here would have been a story, or hey, it's Extreme Rules. Let's just do a Tornado Extreme Rules tag match.
That's a good point. Why isn't this at least a Tornado 6-man tag kind of deal?
And people would have been like, hey, that was fun. I feel satisfied. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Instead, it's just a 6-man tag, and it's got that philosophy of, either watch it or don't. How did I write this down? I wrote down, it feels like WWE says, watch it or fucking don't, but we don't want to hear about your complaints one way or the other. Which is pretty much
like that's becoming their philosophy with just a lot of things.
Yeah, either watch it and enjoy it, watch it and don't enjoy it, but shut up, or don't watch it, and then I don't want to hear your opinion about it because you're not watching it anyway. Be a loyal customer or leave. Yeah, and then people are leaving. So, and you get people that go, okay, I'll watch AEW.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say it right now. I told you before we started, my friend, the one I've been watching the shows with, was actively like, yeah, I'm not watching Crown Jewel, and if I watch Survivor Series, it better be because they're doing something great. He doesn't feel like watching the shows anymore. Like, they're not good.
So, I mean, for the positives versus the negatives, the negative being Big E's not looking great as a champion right now. You had him lose those 2 matches on Raw. You had him win the title in a weird way. Then you book him at the last minute in a 6-man tag team match just to start off the pay-per-view. And tomorrow night, he's going to be defending the WWE Championship on Monday Night Raw. I'm not feeling so good. He might drop that belt.
He might legit drop that belt under the context of like, we got a fucking title change. Now, granted, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I have been coming on these shows and advocating short title reigns. I have been. And I do think that is part of the problem, is that they don't have, everybody now is a champion for 6 months. And I do think that's an issue. But they're going to disappoint so many people if they just do, all right, he lost the belt, suck it, I
don't think he's losing the title, but there's a chance at the very least. And I'm worried about that. But on the positive side of things, I did really enjoy the 6-man tag team match. Like, fundamentally, that was a good match. So it's kind of like, it's not good enough to make up for the negatives that come along with it, but there's a positive,
I did also enjoy the 6-man tag. I like seeing the New Day together. I'm convinced
Love the New Day.
that it doesn't matter what the WWE Championship match is at WrestleMania, right? Because they told us Monday very clearly, Roman Reigns is what matters. So don't worry about what the WWE Championship matches at WrestleMania. Do the New Day three-way dance. Do the match. Let the people who really want to see that have that moment. You do the thing every year now where you're like, 4 main events across 2 nights, and just do the New Day triple threat. And I don't want to hear, well, why? You don't need a reason. You've proven that over and over again. You don't really need a story or a reason. Just do the match.
I'm not a big fan of New Day fighting each other, but
I think they're the only 3 that can pull it off and legitimately be friends at the end and legitimately just move on friendly.
Just a 3-way hug and then
just, hey, we're doing this because we need to know between us who's the best. And I still love you and I still love you. And that's it.
Who would you book to win?
Probably Kofi. I think Kofi's, at the end of the day, Kofi Kingston is the guy for me in that group. He's the one that's been around the longest. I'd go with Kofi, but they'd probably go with E.
Even though I would actively fight against a New Day triple threat in those kind of scenarios, if they said that they needed to do it and they were like, all right, you're part of the creative team, you just need to pitch us the winner, I'd be tempted to go with Woods just because it's like, what the hell?
He hasn't done it.
Right, yeah, that kind of deal. Just, look at that. All 3 of them are champion now and that kind of deal.
Realistically, it doesn't matter anymore. It's not like only, 25 people have ever held the WWE Championship. You could do that and people would probably be cool with it.
Well, we still have to see if he's even potentially in the running to win King of the Ring. No announcements of that tonight.
No.
So I'll assume that they're announcing that tomorrow night. Or, you know what? They might not even announce it tomorrow night. They might wait until
the week of
next week's Raw.
Yeah.
Just to kind of all right, the draft is kind of ending right now, but we still got these important things coming up. Crown Jewel's coming up, and that's going to be whatever, that kind of deal. We'll see. Catching up on the chat a little bit here. Peyton says, Vince doesn't want to make things the way that they used to be. He still thinks that they are that way. Marquis says, here's the problem with that for Vince. We've grown up. Yeah. Peter brought up it should have been an elimination match. Yeah, that could have been fun.
Just anything. Any stipulation. When the gimmick of the show is supposed to be
Gimmick Match City.
Yeah, it's the one night a year where WWE gets extreme and you do one match. Call it anything else.
It's the one match a year where WWE gets extreme. Adam says, I like the match. I like all the wrestlers involved. Omos is green, but I still like him. Peyton votes for Woods. Peter says, Biggie and Woods never won at a Mania. Moving on here, let's go to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Here is another scenario where, as simple as it is, the Usos are great. The Street Profits are great. You put them in a match. The match is great. There you go. There's nothing really more to that. It would have been better if it would have had something else. This would have been a ladder match or whatever it might have been. The crowd eventually started chanting, we want tables during this.
Yeah.
But it's still just, it was a good tag team match.
And I'm pissed off because I predicted for the fantasy league that the Street Profits would win. I hedged my bets on the fact that, Montez Ford got his ass kicked on Friday. Thought, that'd be a cool way to bring him back. They had me on the near falls. The near falls were very good. Match was very good because good things are good and these teams can wrestle and it's been great. But Bloodline wins. And I'm okay with that because the Usos are probably one of the best tag teams ever in WWE history. And at this point, how can you fight that? The Usos are great.
Yeah. And you put the 2 tag teams together that know what they're doing and you let them wrestle and they have a good match. Are we all surprised? Not really.
The thing that sucks is that they're the only tag teams that know what they're doing.
Oh, the New Day.
Well, yeah, but they're on Raw now.
Yeah. I mean, that could change. I don't know. But it's as simple as that goes. And, you know, when it comes to people arguing whether or not the tag team division is worthwhile, just look at matches like this. There you go. You know, it works.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything else to unpack on that, at least from my end.
We can skip to the backstage segment because it had the Usos in it with Paul Heyman talking on his cell phone.
Look, I like the whole thing that they're doing with Paul Heyman and Kayla, where he's just constantly acting like she's got a crush on him.
Well, I like the fact Kayla has a personality when she's with Heyman.
Yeah.
Like, she literally just snuck up behind him
Hey, Paul.
and put a microphone. Like, put a microphone to his mouth as he's talking on the phone, presumably to Brock Lesnar. You know, like, hey, Paul, what you doing? Who you talking to? What's going on?
Hey, buddy.
Like,
that kind of deal.
It's like, that's fun. That's playful banter. That's something that you would see from a Mean Gene or something. Like, it's fun.
Maybe at some point something could fall behind Kayla and she could go, shit. Just
fuck it. But I like this. I like that he wouldn't really say he was talking to Lesnar. He just hyped up the draft. Usos popped up and he's like, I gotta go. I'm with the bloodline. And that was great.
It gave her the call me. Imagine that too. You know, you inject a little bit of personality into your backstage interviewers and suddenly it's a little bit more entertaining than when they're just a glorified microphone. Because we know that these people are not literally just robots, even though they want to book them like that. Like, you get any of them talking in any other kind of environment. Sarah Schreiber is not just the blonde microphone stand, and Kevin Patrick is not just the guy microphone stand. Like, they do have personalities. Caleb Bitcherson complains about a bunch of different stuff on Twitter all the time, whether it's like you're putting up too much Christmas decorations or something. Like, she's got personality, you know?
Yeah, like, and just show that on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that segment. That's about all I would say about that, though.
Yeah. Peyton says he ships Hayla. 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 You know, they got like, was that number one on that list that came out recently about there's like Rolling Stones list or something?
There's no way. I haven't looked at the full list. There's no way that was number one.
I think it might have been number one.
Oh my God. Really?
I know that the list was like absolutely absurd, even for somebody like me who does not know much of, like, you know, you can name like, tell me to name like 5 Lynyrd Skynyrd songs. I know them, but I wouldn't be able to tell you they're Lynyrd Skynyrd.
We went over this. I don't remember if it was a dark cast or not. Go back in the archives. It's somewhere. But I said he couldn't name a Lynyrd Skynyrd song.
Right. Like, I'm really terrible when it comes to that stuff. But even I was just sort of like, there was like a Missy Elliott song that was like number 4 or whatever. And I was just like, wait, for all time? Like, wait, what? I think Hey Ya was number 1. I don't know.
That's insane. I got to look that up.
That's a discussion for more of a Fanboys Anonymous type of thing. So head on over to fanboysanonymous.com. Check out some of that stuff. But Hey Ya, good song. Not that I would put it number 1, though. I wouldn't put it anywhere close to that. But it's catchy. No, number 1 is Respect by Aretha Franklin. Okay.
All right.
I still wouldn't put that number 1, but I can live with that more than Hey Ya. You know? Little respect. Let's put a little respect on the Raw Women's Championship match. Maybe just a little bit.
They didn't. Like, first of all, it took forever to start. My God, the video package was like 6 minutes long. Their entrances took another 5. I was able to throw out the garbage, come back upstairs. You know, like, why did this take so long to start? And then you look at the match itself, and it's Charlotte and Alexa, which at some point would have been a WrestleMania Women's Championship match, because these two women used to be the can't miss end all be all. And it was just okay. But there was a tremendous flub by the end of it. And I think we should talk about as a good reason to end the character for Alexa.
What's the flub that you're talking about? I'm blanking on this.
Oh, you didn't see the tablet of Alka-Seltzer in her mouth.
Oh, yeah, there was that. Yeah. So for anybody who didn't watch the match, they have a match. The chemistry is not really there. We were kind of expecting that they probably wouldn't work super, super well together because not
Although
only is
I'll credit this better chemistry than Charlotte has had with Nikki ASH or even Rhea Ripley on Raw.
they do the thing, they do some spots here and there. One of them that stood out to me that was really bad was Bliss goes to she kind of slowly slides under the ropes just so Flair can grab her, pick her up, move her a little bit, and then swing her into the barricade. And it was just, not really a great kind of scenario. But by the end of this whole thing, Flair tosses Lily to Bliss, causes a distraction. She's able to capitalize on that. She hits natural selection, gets the win. And then she rips Lily apart. And she poses with the head and the championship. Flair gets attacked by Bliss, who is deeply upset. The crowd starts chanting tables, 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 and they're not going to get the tables in that kind of scenario.
Well, they do get Charlotte Flair. Well, I don't know if this is before or after she ripped up Lily. She throws Bliss over the announce table, presumably for this the tablet gimmick, and rips up Lily. Bliss is sad. The crowd's chanting, "Thank you, Lily."
Yeah, thank you, Lily, which I thought was fucking great.
And I noticed there's something white in her mouth, and it looks like it was an Alka-Seltzer tablet. What they typically do is, it creates foam, and you look like you're foaming at the mouth. Presumably, I don't know this to be true, but as a lifelong fan, just presuming, was it supposed to be Lily's stuffing is coming out of the mouth of Alexa Bliss? They are interconnected? Was it supposed to be she's so mad and she's such a demon that she's frothing at the mouth? It gets nowhere near any of this.
I think you're giving them too much credit in some ways, because it's
they had the tablet in her mouth for something.
Right. They had it for a reason, but I think that, look, I was going to say the best case scenario. The actual best case scenario would have been that this would have worked well. The match would have been great, and they would have done this whole thing, and it would have worked the way that it was supposed to work and all that other stuff. But theoretically, the Alka-Seltzer tablet or whatever tablet that they're using for that special effect or something, first and foremost, it just didn't work. We saw the tablet, it wasn't creating that foam effect. So instead, we've got our chat where people are just what's that thing in her mouth? That kind of deal. But I would love it if that's where they were going, which was the whole thing that you brought up of Lily is interconnected with her soul, and that's her insides are kind of coming out or whatever. I think that's giving them too much credit, because we're talking about the same people that they started this thing between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and they were wait, we'll get to it. Long-term storytelling. And they had things like Alexa just kind of spitting out that goop. Yeah. And it meant nothing. Nothing came out from that goop. It was just this neat, so to speak, imagery, and that was it.
And they get the people who, like me, will try to put a story to that, and some people go the extra mile and go all gaga just for the imagery and use it as their Twitter avatar, and they'll go, look at how over everything is. And in actuality, it's just no, it's people like me who will give you all the potential storylines in the world, because we want wrestling to be good. We want there to be good.
It's when you listen to the DVD commentary of a movie, and it's after the movies come out, people already have their fan theories, and then the director will be yeah, that's what I meant. It's all symbolism, that kind of deal.
Yeah, it's just and I feel this is a great chance to cut bait with the evil Bliss character. This is a great opportunity, right? Lily's ripped up. You've had another faux pas with this tablet. Bray Wyatt is gone. This is a
Mm-hmm.
great chance to just be like, and she is the goddess again. Go.
Or even like some hybrid. Like maybe she wants to keep, because it seems like she's having fun with this. Maybe she wants to keep a little bit of that Harley Quinn-esque aesthetic.
I've been over how much I don't care for babyface Harley, but
Yeah.
whatever.
And that we've gone into many discussions on fanboys too. And, you know, that's kind of one of the things that doesn't work as well as it should in some theories. And sometimes it works really well. It kind of depends on how you approach it. But like, you can take, say, the same style gear that she has and the same style haircut stuff, and you take out the playground kind of content and the possession type stuff, and you can kind of have some middle ground there. She doesn't have to go full blown I'm back to the goddess type of thing, but you know, if you don't want people to be chanting we want Wyatt, and when he does eventually pop up somewhere, because he will pop up somewhere, you're going to get fan chants of whatever his new ring name is.
Yeah.
Like if he's going to be, you know, Husky Rotunda or something, people are going to be like, we want Husky or something.
Husky, yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, save yourself the trouble.
Especially when you call attention to it on Monday Night Raw. And we've heard, of course, and this is more than likely true, but of course you got to take a little bit of a grain of salt, that they had seen that Ruby Riott and Dr. Britt Baker promo, and they were like, we should do that with Flair and Bliss. And their main way of doing it was, you're Charlotte Flair's daughter. And then she's like, you're like Bray Wyatt.
Although, again, I did enjoy the, please don't get into originality with me.
Right.
Like, it's a good line, you know? And I think more than anything, Charlotte is suddenly like just floating around in a league of her own. You know, there's so little people that are on that level. Because even Becky right now is doing a character where she's different, so she can't even be the man and just shut down Charlotte Flair.
Now, help me out here because I'm drawing a blank. I remember Madonna, Tom Hanks, Gina Davis. I don't remember Charlotte Flair being in a league of her own.
You know, at least she didn't go anywhere with what I said, little people. So go ahead. You can have that one.
That's a good movie. I haven't seen that in a long while. God, that's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
More Fanboys talk. Go over to fanboysanonymous.com.
See, for anybody that says I don't talk about anything positive, I talk about stuff that would be on Fanboys. Yeah, we talk about a lot of positive things when it comes to the James Bond franchise and the Review to a Kill series that we did over there.
No Time to Die, coming close.
A couple, 2 weeks from now or so. Man, I'm looking forward to that. They better not disappoint. But then we moved over to the United States Championship Triple Threat match. It's one of the Extreme Rules matches because Extreme, hey, Triple Threat. It's no DQ. You can not get counted out and do nothing else in the match.
Yeah.
I wanted to like this so much more. Like, I am a fan of all three of these guys. I think Damian Priest is one of the most interesting people they've had in a while. Jeff Hardy's Jeff Hardy, so it's like, of course, he's fun. Sheamus, you know, when he first started out in WWE, I went militantly anti-Sheamus for a long time, and he won me over after a couple years, and he completely earned my respect, mostly, more than anything else, when his time with the Bar, which ended up making me go like, yeah, you know what? I really do appreciate Sheamus. Yes, he is pretty good and all that kind of stuff. And this just...
I agree. Well, first of all, I agree with you. Sheamus, I used to be big anti-Sheamus when he was like just the happy-go-lucky babyface champion. And this past run has been so good, and everything he's done with the Bar has been so good bell to bell that like I really do respect him. And this match was good. I think it was one of the better matches on the show. But the crowd wanted to pop for Hardy.
Yeah.
I almost feel like you should have went with Jeff Hardy just because the crowd was there for Jeff. And obviously Priest wins. He got won by a roll-up, which I don't like either. I don't like roll-up finishes.
I don't like it in some scenarios like this. Sometimes it works really well. Like I used to like when Bret Hart would pull that out for like a, like he rolls up Diesel kind of scenario.
But he pulled it out in the context of like, I'm going to out wrestle you.
Right.
Not like I gotta sneak up behind you. I got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Priest is not the type of guy that I think I'd be giving roll-up wins to. He should have just hit his finisher on Sheamus and won. And the crowd did pop when they thought that he was going to lose the title there. Not necessarily that he was going to lose the title. That's bad phrasing. Then when they thought that Hardy was going to win it, they popped pretty
popped
strong.
Twice for the Swanton Bomb and for when Sheamus kicked Priest and Hardy immediately pushed Sheamus out of the ring and tried to cover Damian Priest. They popped big. And I would have went for Jeff, honestly.
I think that should be an indicator to WWE if they hadn't already thought about it. Jeff Hardy needs to go to SmackDown and he needs to have at least one match against Roman Reigns.
Jeff Hardy is one of the few people who I legitimately think could have successfully turned John Cena heel when John Cena was like the top babyface of all the things. They could have successfully turned him heel with Jeff Hardy. I think Jeff Hardy is that good.
So Damian Priest retains, shows a little bit of respect for Jeff Hardy and vice versa afterward. And it's just, all right, moving on to the next segment. It really was just kind of nothing again.
The next segment, I think at this point, is they confirm that Bobby Lashley and Biggie Langston will face off for the WWE Championship. Yes, I said Langston. I typically do that because it's his name. And
was it Barrett that had tweeted out when he won the title? He just tweeted out Langston.
Tweeted out Langston, which is great.
It's Langston.
It's like they're gonna fight tomorrow. They're kicking off the show. They were very clear to say 5 times throughout the show that at the start of the show, 8:00 Eastern, they're kicking it off with the WWE Championship. I think that this gets drawn out through the night, but that at some point they will eventually have a WWE Championship match. I'm not confident whether or not E will win, but I do like the idea of advertising big matches for Raw.
Well, you know why they advertised it 5 times, right?
3 ain't enough.
There you go. So we got the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Let's Go Becky and EST chants dueling throughout the scenarios. And I liked one part of this where, I liked the match itself. I don't want to say that, give the wrong impression that I didn't like it. But I liked that Cole, pretty early on in the match, he was like, Becky Lynch is getting all flustered and whatever and wondering what she can do. And Becky's right there at the commentary table. And she just says, don't say that I'm thinking that. I'm not thinking that. I've got a plan. Whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. I like when they do that kind of stuff. But the match itself, competitive and good, and everything's going well. And it ends with Sasha Banks running out and just attacking Bianca Belair. So it's a DQ. And immediately makes me go, why didn't you just do the triple threat here? I know that they just want to set up something again to set up something to set up something. And it's all masturbation. And that drives me crazy because it's just I don't want to watch a build up to SummerSlam so that you can do an angle that can build you up for the next couple weeks to lead to Extreme Rules. That is an angle that leads you into the next couple episodes of the TV show.
And let's be clear, I think they're doing a triple threat on Friday.
I think that they are too. I think that they want desperately to have a championship match on both of these episodes this week to be able to draw the ratings.
And to be able to hammer home the point of, and you don't know where any of these people will land. Mm-hmm. This could be the last time ever that you see Big E fight Bobby Lashley. Hey, Sasha Banks can win here and she can get drafted to Raw. Then what happens? We've seen what happens. The people just swap out the red for the blue. They have established that as canon. That is literally what they do.
Yeah, the Intercontinental and United States titles, they can change hands no matter what. The WWE and the Universal, they can change brands. the Raw and the SmackDown Women's Championship, they follow the same rules as the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships, where the Street Profits and the New Day just, hey, you want to give me the red one? Yeah, I'll give you the blue one.
By the way, that counts as a title victory.
That's a title change. Yeah, you're now 2-time champions if you did that. But like,
unreal.
I have said in an article already, I've said on a couple different things, I think Bianca is moving over to Raw. And I think that they are doing this title match on SmackDown, that they're going to wait until probably tomorrow night on Raw to announce that match is going to take place on SmackDown. They might even wait until later on in the week just to do that. But that they'll do it, and Becky will retain by pinning or tapping out Sasha Banks. And that Becky is going to continue to stay where she is. Obviously, SmackDown Women's Champion, more than likely. And then Bianca heads on over there. And then that way they were like, well, we did have her lose in like 20 seconds, but then we had her not lose. Then we had her not lose. So aren't you supposed to be thinking that she's like perfectly fine?
I think that Sasha's going. I think Sasha Banks is going. Because who the fuck, what are you going to do? Bianca needs to have at least one more match with Becky. And then maybe in January, they can do Liv Morgan against Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. Will Liv Morgan actually win the championship?
See, I think that they're moving Bianca because I think that they're also going to move Rhea Ripley and Nikki to SmackDown.
It doesn't matter anymore. They have the titles. They can go anywhere they want.
Yeah, but we're talking about a company that they treat the draft as like it's all over the place too.
It doesn't matter though. Like they literally have the titles. If you want to establish where they can go, do that after they drop the belts, which you could have done here, but you didn't have them defend against the girls that have beaten the champion 3 times in a row. I don't know what you're laughing at, Tony. It's very frustrating.
It's very frustrating. That's why I gotta laugh.
Like, I don't know, man.
Oh, we got a super chat from Dane. I didn't watch because Green Bay was on, but I'm assuming it was extremely unwatchable. Go Packers. Not extremely unwatchable, just kind of.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just
blah for some things. And like some things were like the Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair match. It was good leading up to. All right, well then that was kind of pointless because Sasha Banks runs in and does that. You're just like, okay, so I watched the build up to this to lead to the build up to that to lead to the thing. Okay,
Yep. And
spread everything thin.
And they'll do interviews. I'm talking shoot interviews now, or not shoot, but like real world podcasts or whatever. Where they'll be like, things just didn't happen the way they were supposed to.
What about like Banks and SummerSlam kind of deal?
Yep, and they'll just go, maybe we'll get to it again one day.
Yeah, well, the story is not over there. I really would like to step back in the ring with Sasha Banks and really tell a story that we, whatever, and finish that chapter.
And one day we can do that because, we always have the chance because people stay in WWE forever. Where's Daniel Bryan right now? Yeah. Let's be real. I think this is more of a reason than ever to say you have to change with the times. Like, finish out these stories because I guarantee you they thought in their heads, oh, Edge and Daniel Bryan, that's a match we can run back at like Mania. Nope, he's gone. Like,
probably thought Edge and Christian, probably thought Sting and Undertaker, probably thought the 4 Horsewomen against the 4 Horsewomen, Shawn Michaels and The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan.
Run these matches while you got them. You know what I mean? It's not that hard.
Dang, just go through that again. Search me, what you say? Well, it's not that hard to book Extreme Rules matches for an Extreme Rules card and whatever, and they just decided that was going to be the main event for this. Universal Championship is on the line. Roman Reigns against the Demon King, Finn Balor. And I will give major credit to something in this match, because I am always willing to admit when I am wrong. Always. If I'm proven wrong about something, I will admit that I'm wrong. If it's a matter of opinion and somebody thinks I'm wrong and there's no proof of it or whatever, that's a different story. But I've been saying for years that Demon King Finn Balor wrestles exactly the same as regular Finn Balor. And that the only difference is he puts on makeup, does the same entrance, wrestles the same match, the end. During this match, they did something where they switched that up. And they're doing a regular match, doing their thing. It is whatever. I'm writing up, it's the same old, that kind of thing. And they start getting the weapons involved. Eventually, after we've gotten past the point where I was like, oh my God, my eyes are rolling so far because it's like, we got our Extreme Rules match, and what do? Kendo sticks. What's the big extreme thing? More than one kendo stick taped together. I was like, if this is the big fucking angle, I am pissed, you know? But they reach a point where he's down on the ground on the outside. And the lights switch over to these red lights that they would have used for the Fiend and that they've used for the demon thing in the past. And they bring back the heartbeat thing that they do at the beginning of his entrance. And he flops like a fish. It's a little ridiculous out of context.
Yeah, I could have. It's a little bit better acting. But
it's not as bad as when Mark Henry used to do that, but that was fucking hilarious when he used to do that too. But he's flopping around, and they're basically telling this story that whatever this like metaphysical thing is has breathed new life into him, and he's revived. So he gets up, totally rejuvenated, and like a bat out of hell starts attacking Roman Reigns. And I'm like, there you go. Like, that's all you needed to do. That thing right there is the best thing that they have done with this Demon King character in the history of them doing it in WWE. I'm talking NXT and the main roster. That right there was the one and only instance I've seen so far where he actually felt like a different character. So hats off. That was fucking great.
I could do without the fish flopping, but I understand why you did it like that. Maybe it would have felt more effective if, you know, he was on his back and kind of convulsing in that way. And I don't... Okay, look. Cheap CGI sucks, but maybe even that might come into play here. I don't know. But I like the fact that they did add a new element to the demon. Because let's be real here. There is no longer a Kane. There is no longer an Undertaker. There is no longer a Fiend Bray Wyatt. The Demon King Balor is probably the only spooky character we have left.
We have that. We have Alexa Bliss, and we have Mei Ying.
Yeah, and Bliss, I've already said, I don't know if they're going to keep going with, and I don't know if they're going to do that. And Mei Ying, I haven't seen her do anything of note. So
mostly sat in a chair, but you know,
yeah, maybe they need to run with his demon character.
I loved that. I thought that was great. And then he gets up onto the top rope. He's getting ready to do the coup de grace, and the top rope somehow breaks.
This is interesting, mostly because obviously this leads to Roman getting the win, and Roman like looks up at the sky like, is this a sign from God? Am I just
like the holy champion kind of deal?
Yeah, like, is this I am now like now somebody's gonna go, well, they do that with Miro, but is this gonna be like I am God's chosen champion?
Maybe that's how they change it. Instead of God's favorite champion, he's God's chosen champion.
And they won't say God, even though they once had a match with God.
The Lord's chosen champion. No, it'll be chosen from above or something like that. But that was like, you know what? The match was, yeah.
It was fun. I mean, obviously it was fun. It was two guys who were good in an Extreme Rules match. It better be fun.
Fundamentally, it's not as good of a hardcore match as we've gotten anything in the past. You know, it's not like they are anywhere the way that they used to be. But if everything would have been at least somewhat close to this on the card, then it would have felt like Extreme Rules. Then it would have been okay, you know?
Yeah.
If not good, you know? We had some good matches that were just regular matches. So you take out, like, the SmackDown Tag Team title match, you put that on SmackDown, and then what do you get? The exact same match that we got on SmackDown. You take out the Liv Morgan match or whatever, it's a regular match. 6-man tag, regular match, so on and so forth. This was the only match that felt like it was actually supposed to be on this pay-per-view. And despite the fact that it is the main event and it should follow those rules and whatever, that doesn't make up for everything that comes before it. You can't just be like, okay, well, they did the last thing the way that they're supposed to, so everything else is great. It's great pay-per-view. Like, nah. But this was a more than serviceable main event. It works in a lot of ways. It sucks that the Demon King has now lost on NXT and the main roster, and that they probably are going to run into that rut that they do where they do with everything else, where once you've lost, now you can lose no matter what, you know?
Yep. Because now it's established. Like, my friend was asking me about Bobby Lashley. Like, oh, he lost the belt, and now all of a sudden he can lose and he can take the pinfall twice. And it's like, yeah. Yes, he can, because they've established that he can lose.
Ted in the chat says the monotheistic champ. And Bodine says God turned on HBK to team up with Roman.
Well, God turned on HBK when he took away all the hair. Like, let's be honest.
So, I mean, that's Extreme Rules. It's it really should have been called No Mercy or something else.
Yeah, because honestly, because that takes away one of the biggest bitching points and gripes. You can't bitch if it's not called Extreme Rules about there not being Extreme Rules matches.
I'm really hoping that the fact that they haven't announced TLC yet, despite that we know that there's a December pay-per-view, means that it's not TLC.
I would love it.
Like, I want that to just be, hell, No Mercy, I just mentioned. Make it Breaking Point.
Armageddon, anything you have. You own so many things.
I was never a fan of Armageddon.
I don't care. Like, I'm just fucking.
But yeah, like, you know.
Call it Roadblock, End of the Line. Is that a fucking thing?
Right. They did 2 roadblocks the one year, then never again. It's one of those weird things. I wish they'd bring back Fully Loaded. I always thought that was a good one. And I'm probably going to write up an article about this kind of stuff. But we didn't get Clash of Champions this year. That's another thing, too.
Honestly, bring back King of the Ring. Just bring, like, do you understand? Like, people would pop. It's the stupidest thing ever, but people would pop. If you just said, we're doing a King of the Ring pay-per-view. Yeah. Like, it would literally be that reaction.
But they're doing it on TV.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's, you know, the way that they are justifying this these days is we'd rather not do it on the pay-per-view if we could do it on TV, because we want the ratings to level out. And then when the ratings don't level out, then they go, well, that's because the pay-per-views matter. And then when the pay-per-views don't have the match, they go, that's because TV matters. And then you just go, I'm insane. And then you go, yeah, well, keep watching, motherfucker. You know, but we can't call you mofo because that's on the banned list of terms. We can't say mofos.
You can say shit. Wrestling companies love the word shit right now. Love it.
Botchamania. This past episode calling attention to that with the
12 times on like the not Grand Slam, but the episode of Dynamite before Grand Slam.
Yeah, and they were, you know, Matthew was doing the thing about from South Park where it was like the old shit show or whatever it was.
Yeah. Where it was like, oh my god, they're gonna say shit, and they had a counter running on how many times they said
it. Ted says Valentine's Day Massacre in December. Just no more pay-per-views based on match stipulation. Just go with Halloween Havoc in December. Just, what the hell? Why not? You know? So we didn't get an announcement for King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring or Queen's Crown or whatever they decide to go with. And we're getting a WWE Championship match tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. The draft is coming up this week. Crown Jewel's coming up in a couple weeks. Doesn't seem like we're getting another pay-per-view outside of Crown Jewel because they should have probably announced it by now. But I don't know. Those are some things to look forward to in whatever fashion that you're looking forward to it.
Crown Jewel will be great. Hate to say it. Those shows legitimately get booked. At least 1 or 2 matches get booked like it's WrestleMania. And that's why we got Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And you can say whatever you want about that feud, Tony.
Brock Lesnar rule.
It's a big match.
It's only a big match because they've done it a million times and they're the only 2 people that they've been invested in.
But that's literally That's literally it. You got to invest in people.
Yeah, but isn't it one of those things where, to call back to a fanboys thing, once in a while it's pretty fun to watch Batman fight somebody other than the Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when you literally have him fighting the Condiment King and, all these halfway decent villains, after a while you gotta go, holy shit, the Joker's back. This one matters. Like, that's it.
Now, if we get Roman Reigns versus Condiment King, I'm sold.
I think he could do it. By the way, shout out to Roman Reigns for putting on a mask before going into the crowd. That's what you gotta do, folks. Mask up.
Alrighty, well, I think that's it, right? We ran through the whole card. Nothing else really going on. So, I don't know. I'm kind of rounding things out here. See about any other chat kind of stuff that's going on here. Peyton says, it's only a big match because it's got 2 stars in it. Great logic. Yeah, I mean, that is fundamentally what it is. But at the same time, it is just sort of like, I don't know, if they would have invested in more of the other people, we'd have more than 2 stars to pick from, where you wouldn't have to keep going back to those 2. You know what I mean? That's my issue with it. Shouldn't have to keep going back to WrestleMania 31. You know?
The fact that they can right now is
scary.
I'm just saying, it's something to celebrate. You know what I mean? Like, at least you have a match that feels big.
You know, what else feels big?
What?
Babatunde. Seems like he's a big guy.
Oh.
Feels like he's a big star.
Who knows?
It's a shame he's not still Babatunde. I don't like saying, Commander Aziz is a really tall guy. It's Babatunde.
Commander Aziz is big and other people aren't. It's Babatunde.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it. Ted's asking what we thought about the ring breaking and all that. Did we not say? I thought we said it. If we didn't say, it's something interesting.
It's divine intervention from Jesus so that they can move Finn to Raw because Raw desperately needs anything. Raw needs people more than SmackDown. SmackDown has Roman. Even if they move Roman, I could see them moving Roman to Raw. I really could. And just going, now it's the Roman show, so you have to watch. Haha.
I hope not. But I don't think that they will either. I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit because more than likely we're going to do the main event for this week is going to be kind of predictions for the draft and what would we do and that kind of scenario. But at least right now, not seeing Biggie lose the championship, because it's a possibility they might lose the championship. I think that they're going to keep Roman where he is because I think that that's their bargaining chip with Fox. Like,
yeah,
Fox is pretty much like, you're not giving us anything here. Don't you dare take Roman Reigns away. That kind of deal,
But I feel like NBC Universal can be like, we're literally partners and you're literally on our platform. Why don't we have Roman?
And then, yeah, that kind of depends on those negotiating tactics. And then I guess we see the representatives from Fox and USA and their conference tables being all like...
That could have been a really cool thing. That was like, okay, cool. They're going to insert some reality. Here's the Fox robot, which was funny. It's funny. Like, here's the Fox robot doing the draft picks. It's like, do you have the... You know how Raw has a little robot now for the CGI? Have the robots do the draft picks, please.
Have the robots fight for brand supremacy at Survivor Series.
Look, Rock'em Sock'em Robots can come back, and it can be a WWE tie-in with the 2 red and blue robots.
Only if they have Todd Pettengill as the commentator throughout that.
I think we can make this happen.
I think that they should. And then I would be much more interested in who's going to win the Rock'em Sock'em Robot thing than I would with some of the other things that are going on.
That's terrible. Just so we're clear, that's all terrible.
Yep.
But I agree with you so much.
Let's run through a couple more things in the chat real quick. Adam said he didn't really like the ring breaking. Ted thinks Edge has to come to Raw. I think that they're going to keep Edge as sort of a free agent sort of deal.
No, he should be on a show. He's been more present than just hey, it's John Cena, and he can just show up where the fuck he wants. Like, Edge has been present. He should be on the show.
Bodine had said, not gonna lie, I'm actually excited to see if the ring breaking is going to be followed up on. Like, it turns out Paul loosened it in the dark, creating tension between Roman and Paul for Paul
Bro,
to be involved.
I pitched a while ago now, because it's been a month since SummerSlam. Let's do, Paul Heyman called in Brock Lesnar because he didn't think Roman was going to beat John Cena. And he was just hedging his own bets. They haven't done that. They're not going to follow up on shit because they don't need to.
And the multiverse show says Demon Balor is definitely better than The Fiend. And the Fiend's overrated. I think that The Fiend has been overrated from the very start, yeah.
I mean, like, it's hard not to say The Fiend is overrated now, but I do think it's debatable as to whether or not, like, Demon Balor is better, because so far they haven't treated him better.
Yeah. Then Bodine says, to be fair, I'm being way too optimistic. Well, apparently I'm being way too negative. So, balances out.
We need Callum's WWE fanboy.
Yeah. Well, whether you're a fanboy or not, check out fanboysanonymous.com and keep checking out the things on smarkoutmoment.com, because we've got some of the stuff that we had mentioned before coming your way over the next couple of weeks. Not only are we going to be talking a lot about the draft, whether it's, predictions, preview, what we would do, reviewing what happens afterward, talking about future matches we're interested in, so on and so forth. We're also going to be doing other types of drafts, because we're going to be pre-recording some stuff that's going to come out in the first couple of weeks and all throughout November, for the most part, of our all-time roster stuff. We might do that starting on Tuesday. We're not going to obviously spoil anything, let you guys know what's going on, but we might start getting into that this week and kind of are doing our mock draft of all time, and then breaking down our cards that we can make with those rosters, and then starting to get into how would we consolidate these rosters and make the biggest, best roster that we possibly could out of, certain limitations. We're not just like everybody, and then there you go. That's the end of the podcast. But we're going to have that stuff coming your way. We've got some pay-per-view content coming up with Crown Jewel, the King of the Ring, or Queen's Crown, or whatever they announce. When they announce it, we're going to get a little bit deeper into that. There also is the Champs Giving tournament going on right now, so you can vote on who you think is the best King of the Ring that has ever been crowned at this point, at the very least. We're on round 1 right now, so you got matches like Stone Cold against Sheamus, Bret Hart against Barrett, Randy Savage against Nakamura, Owen Hart against King Corbin, etc. So vote on that while you can. It's over on the sidebar on smarkoutmoment.com.
We've got the Undertaker interactive movie coming to Netflix. And if you think
Escape from Undertaker is what it's called, I think.
If you think that we're not doing that together, we're not going to sit here and make all the decisions together, you're out of your mind.
That'll end up being at the very least a dark cast, if not just a regular thing posted on here. So if it is a dark cast, the only way you'll get access to that is if you join the members only stuff on YouTube or hit up to Patreon's dark cast here. That's coming out, was it Friday or so?
First.
Something along that way. I got it written down somewhere on here.
I mean, if it's Friday, that might be coming sooner than later.
So it is Friday the 1st. You're right.
Yeah, so that's coming. That's coming. I don't know if it's coming to a dark cast or anything, but it's definitely coming.
More than likely, we'll probably end up watching that on Friday. The likelihood that we're not going to just skip past some of the hot tags and just be like, hey,
we're going to watch the Undertaker thing.
Nothing happened on NXT UK, and then there's the hot tags. Sorry, we're going to watch the Undertaker thing and put that up. Kind of deal. It's either going to be a fan announce table or Darkcast in some fashion. I don't know. But stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for everything by just following Smark Out Moment on Facebook and Twitter and the website, and subscribing to the YouTube channel and checking out what we've got on our individual feeds. I am at Tony Mango all over the place. Rob is over there at Dude Felice all over the place as well.
I am at Dude Felice all over the place. Please follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitch, follow me on whatever, really. Search Dude Felice, I'm probably there. And check out Fightful.com and Fightful Select. We got some Extreme Rules, backstage news, scoops, and things of that nature. So check out Fightful Select, and I thank you for your time.
Also want to thank Multiverse Show for something that I didn't think about this, but this is a great thing. He says Goldberg's going to interfere tomorrow night in Biggie versus Lashley to set up their Crown Jewel match.
Well, you should have thought about it. I said that when we were thinking this was going to be a show. This is going to be a match on the pay-per-view. I said, do it Extreme Rules so Goldberg can show up and it won't be a disqualification.
There you go. It's probably going to happen. So shout out to Multiverse Show for that. And yeah, that's it. That's it for Extreme Rules. It wasn't an extreme podcast outside of the fact that we didn't have that start off the way that we were supposed to start things off. But, you know,
but we hope that it was extremely fun for you guys.
Or that you thought, hey, this podcast rules. At least in that fashion.
We're sorry.
It's far from the worst joke I've made this week on the podcast, that's for sure. But we will see you in the next one, everybody. Thanks for checking this out. Thank you for chatting up in the live chat. Thank you for leaving your comments below. If you listen to this afterward, thank you for all your support in whatever fashion it is. Adios for now, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.